Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Welcome back to another episode of American Loser. We're here live at the Gas Digital Network in New York City. We won't give you the address because we keep getting but it is what it is. All right, I'm very excited to be here. In the booth, of course, Dr. Harrington. Say hello to the people.
What's up, folks?
How are you, pal? And you hooked us up, by the way. You got me a great guest here today. I'm very excited.
Aww.
Our first guest on the new network.
Thank you.
So, Josie, and again, give me it's Marcellino?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, I've been hearing nothing but good stuff about you.
Well, thank you.
And we also have a mutual friend in common, good old Davey Bohannon.
Yeah, right? Shout out Davey Bo.
That's right. Yeah, I like that he goes by Davey Bo. He's like some sort of like a weird white rapper thing he's doing.
Yeah.
So we'll figure him out, man. But Dave Bohannon, if you're watching this, I don't know. I mean, hopefully you subscribe to the Gas Digital Network and use the promo code LOSER for, I believe, 10% off. Is that correct, Mr. Harrington?
You save $1 a month.
You save $1 a month. That's right. It's totally worth it, too, by the way. This is, I'm very biased here, obviously, but this podcast network is very, very important to me because these guys went out there. They did it on their own. I've been a guest on the shows for years at this point, and now finally they're letting me bring my show on, which means that other shows have left. That's kind of what we're going to
yeah. You're filling a vacancy. Gotta love it.
We try, though. We try. So you doing me a favor. You came in. You're hanging out right now. I don't know when this is going to come out, so I'm sure your appearance on The Thing Is will be out already. But,
probably.
If you could do me a favor, I am so excited. I want you to plug your social media, anything else like that. What do you got for the people here?
Yeah,
check you out.
You can just follow me at Josie Marcellino, JosieMarcellino.
Right on. See, and I had to actually ask her to help me with the pronunciation. It's a recurring theme on the show here, but I am nothing but Irish, which is like, you know, some people are proud of that, but I burn in April. It's not fun.
Yeah.
I'm recovering from a sunburn. I'm covered in dirt, and I can't pronounce Italian last names.
I'm 50-50, so my mom's parents are from Ireland, so I get it.
Oh,
I know what that's like, yeah.
Right on. So,
yeah.
See, that's actually, this is a weird one because I know that you say you're from Maryland, right? But you're living in Philly right now. You're doing the Philly thing. That's insane, by the way. That's what the pandemic did. Philly is now a destination city for people to start their careers.
I saw on TikTok the other day, people were like talking about all the influencers that are moving into Philly. And it's true. That is a thing. And it's like, why?
That's, you know what it is? I think it's you need cheap rent in order to attract artists. And then artists build something cool.
That's true.
And then they force out the people that live there. That typically over about a 10, 20-year period.
That is, that's exactly how that happens, I think.
Now, I don't know you too well, but I'm going to ask you a question here.
Yeah.
It's I think it's a concept that we would all accept. My girlfriend's crazy. She's out of her mind. That's kind of what drew me into her, right? What is it that girls like about dangerous guys or bad boys?
It's probably, anybody likes controlled danger. It's probably why you like psycho broads. That's the thing.
I think that's it for sure.
Everybody likes a little bit of crazy, especially if, like, they're attractive. Like, if you're ugly and you're crazy, you're homeless. But if you're if you're hot and you're crazy, you're fun. There's something, the mystery in there to figure out.
I hear you.
It's like, I want to tame this dragon or whatever
We'll refer to it as the Joe Exotic theory.
Yeah.
I think
that's a good way to put it.
I like that one here, but it is a tale as old as time, and it stinks I have to go off my script here. I have to do all this research because if I get one fact wrong about a story, I never hear the end of it in the comment section.
Gotcha.
So this one's very, very particular here. I jumped out at this story, and I know they told you a little bit of the topic, but what we do on this show is it's American Loser, and we hyper-focus on the people that don't get spoken about enough from crazy stories in history.
Okay.
So I think everybody knows Charles Manson.
Definitely.
Everybody knows Sharon Tate, right? Obviously, they made Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is the best version of that story because it's the only happy one. But I would ask you, if you're comfortable with this, I'm going to ask Harrington to pull up a picture here in a little bit of the girl we're going to talk about today, whose name is Leslie Van Houten, by the way, folks. Leslie Van Houten, who I'm going to go ahead and say is the hottest Manson girl.
Let's see her.
So I would ask you to judge on that one. For right now, she's got probably the most interesting story, I would say, because as of this moment, she's the only Manson family member that's out of jail.
Oh, shit.
She got paroled in 2023. So,
oh, damn. Okay.
yeah, she's out walking about. So I don't know if, like, my dad is in his 70s, you know, and my parents are happily married. But, like, if my dad was a single guy, I don't know if I would try to set him up with Leslie Van Houten. But when you look at her, you can kind of understand. It's what you were saying before about the hot chick thing, or just not even just chick, but just being an attractive person that lets you look past crazy.
Yeah.
So I still don't know why my girl puts up with my nonsense, but I let her do what she wants.
You're a handsome man. Shut the fuck up.
It's really the jawline is mostly beard. There's nothing.
But that's
under
okay.
it.
That's like makeup for a man. I wear fake eyelashes. You grew out a beard.
See, I like what you're
That's
doing.
fine.
Right?
That's fine.
Did Harrington? Did we have a picture up by chance?
I have some older pictures of her.
Bring up an older picture if you can, because I showed this to my foreman at work, and he referred to her as 70s pretty. So that was like before.
I don't like today's pretty. Today's pretty is weird. Today's pretty is like uncanny. Because now you can just go to a plastic surgeon and look like whatever you want to look like. So it's weird. It's like not
that
real
is unfortunate. Pretty. She's just like a very pretty girl here. So that was a picture of her, a little bit older one right there.
Okay, so, she's very good looking for an older lady there.
Yeah, she's got to figure out. And you know what it is? It's crazy, but orange is actually her color, which not everyone gets to say. Here's where I'm going to go with this one. We're going to try to unpack this if I can. And please feel free to jump in at all times. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions along the way. So
Sweet.
You're doing us a huge solid, and I'm happy you're here.
I'm excited to be here.
It's kind of the good girl gone bad trope. So that's a little bit of what this story is. Typically on the story, on the show, I'll tell a story from history. And then this one it feels familiar because everybody knows the Manson stuff. And then it also, like I said, as of 2023, there's recent updates here. So she's out. She's living in like a halfway house right now. She's this close to getting into comedy. She's so close.
Oh, hell yeah.
My buddy Chris DiStefano told me the other day, he goes, right when you're about to say something smart, you start blinking a lot, which is a sign of my tism.
Okay.
That's what he says. So what I can't do now is I have to as soon as I'm trying to put information out, I have to just sit there and kind of open up my eyes a little bit extra.
Can I give you a piece of advice?
Hit me.
Don't take advice from handsome people. That's fucking anybody hot that's giving you any kind of advice about anything, they're wrong. They've gotten away with whatever they want to because they're hot.
I know, but
I'm sure he might be right, but
when we hold each other, it feels true. That's kind of how I feel about it.
And that's fair. That's fair. That's fine.
I'll tell you what. So this is the line that I wrote here. If they're hot enough, people will make excuses for them. And what did I just do?
Yeah.
I just made excuses for my hot friend, Chris.
1,000%. Every hot girl that I've ever met and spoken to for more than 20 minutes ends up being the weirdest person I've ever fucking because she can just do whatever she wants and people will let her get away with it.
Well, today's episode of American Loser is uniquely both examples here because people like to try to change people, like you were saying. But before Casey Anthony and before Luigi Mangione, there was a pretty girl from Altadena, California, whose mugshot was about to inspire a lot of dirty fantasies and ruin hundreds, if not thousands, of old gym socks across America. So her name is Leslie Van Houten, and had it not been for winding up with the wrong guy, she probably would have, probably been less famous. I think that's fair to say. Well, like we were talking about, probably would have gotten into comedy. I feel like that's what people do when their life is at a crossroads. They're like, all right, I can either join the Manson family or I can try open mic night.
They're pretty similar depending upon the mic night. It can be
You're running with the same crowd?
Yeah.
Well, you're 100%
They look
true.
similar, too. Like Charles Manson looked kind of up. That's what a lot of open micers look like.
There's an old photo of, I guess it was Phil Collins, and he looks so creepily like Charles Manson in it that you're just like, all right, you can either do, you can either create Genesis or you can Sharon Tate. It's one or the other. You know what I mean? That's your look. Now, Leslie's a very pretty girl here. She's born in 1949, so you were saying she's still got it going on for an older chick. She's 75, by the way.
She looked great there. Mm-hmm. In that photo, she looked really good.
That might have been a slightly older photo. It might have been a slightly older one. I'm not sure. I'll let Harrington pop them up here as we go. So there's a ton of stuff. My girl, she's
a smoke show. Yeah.
So she actually
especially next to that lady that she's next to. Look at her fucking Jay Leno shit. Actually, that's unfortunate. We have the same exact bone structure. Me and that lady, she got a heavy underbite.
Her outfit too. She's very. It's of the time.
It was the hairstyle.
It's of the zeitgeist, Harrington. It's of the zeitgeist. But she's aged into, I think, just for reference, by the way, this is what I like to do on the show. I try to give zeitgeist and points of reference from pop culture. Dolly Parton is almost 80.
God, God, she looks so good.
People would still consider her.
But she's had a lot of work done, whereas you can tell that lady sitting in jail has not had work done.
I don't think they get plastic surgery in prison.
I don't think
they're just kind of
so.
forced through it. Christy Brinkley, by the way, 71, still probably has to deal with some NSFW kind of DMs all the time. I think.
For sure.
But what if instead of being a country music icon or Billy Joel's ex-wife, these women had wound up spending their most impressionable post-adolescent years doing ass murder? That's our sound drop for Zeitgeist. I love that. Leslie would still be considered attractive by most and is currently out of prison, by the way. Like I said, 53 years served for her crimes. So if you're an age-appropriate man, willing to look past a few wrinkles and two, not one, but two, first-degree convictions, I got a girl for you folks. Okay. She's I can't laugh at my own drops. I got to get more professional. Leslie's life, by the way, seemingly all American. Okay. I feel like I grew up pretty normally, and then people remind me all the time, they're like, no, there's nothing really normal about you. You're adopted, you're a veteran, you're a reformed alcoholic, you're born on 9/11.
That's Northeast normal.
You know what, that might be, that's probably a good t-shirt idea.
Northeast normal.
Northeast normal works too, because we'll include Maryland, which is where you're from, right?
Yeah,
See,
exactly.
You guys are like the forgotten. You're just polite enough that there's no. I'll tell you what it is. The accent's not aggressive enough for people to immediately judge you, so you can blend in. You guys are like daywalker East Coast assholes.
Yeah, depending upon the part of like Baltimore that you're in, you can really get it there. But we're technically south of the Mason-Dixon, but it's still the Mid-Atlantic.
I did not realize this. New Jersey has sections of it that are south of the Mason-Dixon.
Yeah, I guess it does.
It doesn't make sense, and then you look at a map and you're like, "Oh, Jesus! All right, that's why."
It does. That's
why they never voted for Lincoln in either election. That's a little weird. But,
yeah, Maryland's state anthem is like literally just about how like brothers were fighting against each other in the Civil War because like households were divided. Big on state anthems. But yeah, so that's Maryland.
No, it's the truth on that one. I'll tell you what, this is where it gets wild because I've never been out to California, but I remember if you watch California, the idea of it that they're selling in TV and movies. It's always kind of a wholesome, California Dreamin' type thing. Mamas, but then if you listen to California Dreamin' by the Mamas and the Papas, it's the most depressing and dark song you've ever heard. And I kind of thought that was an interesting way to I'm going to try to sound smart when I say this, but I thought that was an interesting thing that the more you scratched at the lyrics of that, you're like, okay, there's actually a lot of darkness out there.
Yeah.
And this story is full of it.
And who better to convey it than a father-daughter duo that were the entire time. It really encapsulates California properly, I think.
It's nuts too because Mackenzie Phillips should probably have been the one that joined the Manson family.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense to me.
But she was busy dad, so I guess in a way there's a silver lining, right? Not a murder. Cool.
Did you ever do acid?
I haven't. I'm terrified of it.
You're terrified of it? I've done it a couple of times. It's I'm 37, so I think you age out of it at a certain point, and then also like I don't.
Well, you hope so.
Yeah, I don't have 18 hours to just give up to go on an adventure in my bathroom ceiling tile.
Has been a problem very often for me when I've had any kind of, but it's like I'm like scared to mess with any kind of hallucinogens. I'm not tethered enough to this reality to try and explore a different one.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. I'll tell you what, I didn't do any drugs until I got out of the military. And when I say like, I'm saying I had experimentations with stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of mushrooms, a lot of, do coke when you got to stay awake at a bachelor party, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But I thought this was worth mentioning here. Leslie ran away a few times. She had a pretty normal life until her parents got divorced when she was 14. And I know a lot of people that say their life went to shit when their parents got divorced. And apparently she started doing acid, which I waited until I was 25 and a military veteran to do, to be tethered in reality, to borrow your phrase. She started doing acid at 15.
Yeah.
So I don't know when Harrington started doing acid. Did that ever happen, buddy? Did you do acid?
Bro, I'm sitting here going, I just turned 37, and acid is still a very viable way to spend a Saturday night for me.
I was waiting for him to be like, dude, I am on acid editing your show right now.
I wish, dude. The days of doing acid and coming to work at this place are long gone, and it's unfortunate. It was a better Gas Digital when half the employees were on hallucinogenics.
See, here's the weird. So, by the way, you pulled your girl. Yeah, you're beautiful. Oh, are we allowed to say the legal status of your relationship? Or?
Yeah, my wife. My wife.
Yeah, Harrington got married, and his girl's way out of his league. So that's why me and him are friends, because we both have girls way out of our league. And he pulled his wife rather straight out of a hippie commune, from what I gather. I think that's when they go to Grateful Dead shows.
Alex rules. Their baby rules.
That's 100%.
The whole family's awesome.
They're good people, right?
They are good people.
They're going to keep it together, unlike Leslie Van Houten's family, which unfortunately, like I said, at 15.
Well, Harrington, when was the first time you did acid?
I mean, I did it, when I was in high school.
That's crazy.
A couple. My buddy had it in like an eyedropper thing, like liquid acid when we were 16.
So what'd you do first?
Crazy.
Did you get your driver's license first, or did you do acid?
I might have gotten my permit first, but I definitely did acid before I got my driver's license.
It's nuts.
Well, it's that's worth mentioning here too, because this is. I try to sympathize with the people a little bit. We like to make fun of them here. You got to keep it. It's a comedy show.
Yeah.
Right. But apparently, what set her off is that her mother, Leslie's mother, forced her to get an abortion, and they were a very uber Christian family, and they buried the fetus in the backyard.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So you start to understand why.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. You're gonna fall in love with a crazy ass that says he's Jesus Christ.
You're setting her up for failure.
Yeah.
You know? We should give, like I said, we already used the word zeitgeist, which is, we're big on the show. That I don't know if you know this, zeitgeist is German for spirit of the times. So what we like to do is like to set the zeitgeist here. It's 1968. Richard Nixon is president. The Green Bay Packers are Super Bowl champions. Young men are ripping their dick to Jane Fonda and Sharon Tate. More on her in a minute, obviously. Steve McQueen is showing the world what a real car chase looks like in the movie Bullet. Stanley Kubrick dropped 2001: A Space Odyssey, which hit America harder than the acid Jimi Hendrix was taking to make Electric Ladyland. There was also a terrifying horror movie out that year called Rosemary's Baby, directed by Roman Polanski. Don't worry. More on him it's like, he's right there. He's kind of in the story, folks. But Leslie is living in whatever you would call... I'll tell you what. This is why I like having female guests on, because you can give me insight on this. What would you call it's a couple, but it's 4 people living in some sort, like a 3-person couple is a throuple. Are we just calling this like a quadruple, or what?
We call it something gone wrong.
See, this is where you're old school. I like
it. Yeah, I mean, look, somebody said to me pretty early on that there's always a loser in polyamory, and that has been proven true time and time again. Sorry to anybody that's polyamorous, but yeah, I mean, no, I don't know what the official name would be for it. But
I would like to apologize to the polyamorous community for comments made on this show that I was not made privy to ahead of time.
I am going to probably insult you a few more times, though, if we're talking about a quadruple.
Well, it's confusing, too, because I don't even know what I believe this is what I think I know. It's her friend and lover, whose name was Cher, not that one, obviously, but Leslie and Bobby and Catherine, who was also, this is a weird one where, did you have a nickname as a kid?
Josie is technically a nickname.
Is it really?
Yeah, Josephine is my full name.
Oh, right. Oh, that's super Italian now.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Actually, I think Josephine is French.
Is it really?
Yeah, but not French at all, so.
Is your middle name Marie?
It is.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
That's some gay.
It's either, well, I mean, white lady, fair chance it's either going to be Anne, Lynn, or Marie.
It's how often I get it right when guessing on stage makes me feel like it's like I feel like a hack.
What's your first name?
Kevin.
Kevin? Is it Michael or James?
Oh, well, my name's KP, so it's Kevin Patrick Burke.
Never mind. Oh, you're Irish as shit.
Yeah, a little too much.
That's right.
It's actually to the point where diversity would be a strength, like just to go outside, just in the summertime and not have to worry about it.
One of my cousins on my mom's side was we were at a bachelorette party together, and she was getting a little bit loose, and she's like, "I've had 10 guys, and 7 of them's first name was Patrick," and I'm like, "That's crazy." That's the Irish side. So.
Now I can't say if Manson. We uncovered this recently that Manson or Munson is actually like a Swedish name. But Manson, who is obviously coming into the story here, Charlie's just a cool dude, and he's part of this whole free love movement. And he's also hanging out, playing music. He plays the guitar. He's very charming. He kind of works people. Would a guitar work on you or no?
It has in the past. It wouldn't today. It would not today.
You're older and wiser now.
29 now. I'm coming up on 30 next month, and I know better at this point.
So you're not going to wind up at the Spawn Ranch hiding dead
now
bodies.
With drummer, you could probably get me to commit a good enough drummer.
There's people in the comments that are going to learn the drums now just for an opportunity. So
I don't know. I had to take my jacket off, so I've got my big linebacker arms out now. We'll see. If anybody learns the drums, hit me up.
That's she already plugged her socials here too, folks. So just be cool with you. Be cool, all right? Charlie is just a cool dude. Gives all the orders on this weird hippie commune at Spawn Ranch. That's where they live. It's an old movie set. And he tells everybody, he's in charge though. He's like kind of a diminutive fella. And then he's alpha though. He's got alpha energy. So it's like he'll walk up, he'll start telling people, oh, we're all going to sleep now. We're going to sleep. We're going to eat this or whatever. He also tells people who to have sex with and how often, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of free love. If you're selling free love and then you're like, we actually have these rules here. So it's like, I remember when satellite radio was supposed to be the great, I'm showing my age right now, but satellite radio was supposed to be like the end-all be-all, and then they sold that for ad space immediately. And thank God people created podcasts because it's the only way. Otherwise, we have to watch Howard Stern sell out again, which is just depressing.
Well, and then we all sell out, and then podcasts will turn into something else. It's the way that it works.
There's sometimes when I read the Manson story, and I wish that I had his confidence, because then my life would be different. You know what I mean? So he's just sitting here, and he's... I think the confidence comes from the amount of that he was doing. So this is how I used to drink back in the day. I would drink and I would try to keep up with my buddies who were cops and firemen. And then at some point I realized I was drinking more than them. And I was like, guys, what do you do like the next day when you're like ready to lose your mind? And they were like, oh, dude, we have no idea how you do it. And I realized that anytime I was taking shots, they were probably like once every third shot I did, they would join in. And that's when I realized I was drinking significantly more than them.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they weren't conning me. It wasn't a thing. But that's apparently what Charlie would do with acid. Like, he would tell people, he's like, oh, I just did a hit of acid. You guys should all do a hit of acid, too. And then all of a sudden, everyone's on acid, and you're the only sober guy in the room. And this is where people like the MK Ultra thing pops in, where they think that he's kind of controlling their minds. And maybe he is. I don't know. I can't really exactly prove it.
I mean, I don't think it's that tough to control the mind of somebody who's actively taking hallucinogens and you being sober. Yeah, you could lead them through whatever you want.
That's true too. I had a friend that when he used to smoke pot, we used to just take him into the woods and just kind of point him in directions of things and tell him to interact with them. And he would do. So that's the most enjoyment I've ever gotten out of marijuana, because anytime I've tried it, it's just been crippling depression and anxiety.
Yeah,
so.
I don't care for it too much.
Well, I also don't want to wind out finding out that I'm sleeper celled into some weird cult leader thing too,
Yeah. That's true.
So he's given himself acid every third hit, I would say. Everyone else is on acid. And in Leslie's case, and she's, by the way, I think we would agree, you saw the photo of her before, she's probably the prettiest Manson family member.
Yeah.
It's not a hard competition to win. I'm going to be honest. There's a couple girls that aren't quite, uggos here. But yeah, you can tell who Leslie is really quickly there.
Very quickly.
Yeah. You got Leslie is the pretty girl who kind of looks like... Well, I mean, she's pretty. She's got like a Hillary Swank thing going on. In the middle is Harrington without a beard.
I look so much like that woman.
No,
that's
you
good.
don't.
No, I
Get
do.
outta
Look
here.
at it. Put me up. Move me up next to her. We can see it.
You're having an issue with your own projection, then, because that's not what you look like.
We're sisters.
And then all the way at the end, I think that was actually the most devout.
That just looks like a bird.
Correct. There's aquilin features, we'll call them, right?
Yeah.
Aquilin.
No, avian.
Avian.
Equine is
that's
horse.
Horses, but I think aquilin is AQ. This is what I get for trying to sound smart. But avian, you're right. That's also a type of the flu, which I possibly have.
Bird flu. Yeah, avian flu. Yeah. Yeah, avian means bird.
Well, it's this was the weird thing too. They made her property of her lover Bobby. That's what they told her in the. And she herself, by the way, she likes to downplay her role in some of this stuff too. And let's be honest, I'm going to give her a chance. She's a reformed bad girl, right? She's a reformed bad girl. She's, did her time for her crime, if you will. But this is my girlfriend made a boss babe meme of Leslie Van Houten, because anybody who testified, they all said, like, when she was trying to, downplay her involvement, they all said, no, she was like a respected member of our community. You know what I mean? It's like when Gas Digital gets raided finally by the FBI, and they're going to sit there and you're just going to find, like Zach Amico is going to sit there and try to be like, yeah, I don't know. They did their thing. They had fun.
Yeah.
I did a couple of shows. What are you going to do, man? But this is going to bring us up to, there's the girl boss. Yep, my girlfriend Carly made that for me. So, by the way, thank you, babe. You're insane. You know how I got her, by the way? She's so out of my league. It's crazy. But she has kids. And that just opens up all sorts of doors for guys like me.
Damn, you made her think that she wasn't valued, and then you were like, "Nah, I'll save you, baby. Don't worry."
That's right. I'm coming through for it. But she's how wonderful.
Many kids?
She's got 2 kids. It's a 3 and a 5-year-old.
That's a fine amount of kids.
I think so. That's and then she puts together the graphics for all these things. So she told me, this is how I know that the show is working. She goes, "You've actually taught me things. Like if I told her this, like on the couch hanging out, she'd be bored to death." And then because she read about this, we watched a Manson documentary on Netflix. So if you want to know what love is, folks, that's what love is.
There you go.
This brings us, by the way, to August 8th and 9th of 1968. So I'll tell you what, I would ask you this, if you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Tell me what you know about the Manson murder. And then, because we're going to go in a weird direction with it, so there's no wrong answers.
So, I mean, I know that they started out attempting murder. They tried to kill somebody got dead but didn't die. And then I know there was a singular murder, and then I think it was the Tate murders.
That's the big one. That's the headline grabber.
The Tate, I know that's the headline. And then after that, it was like they killed, I think, 2 people that like owned a grocery chain or something.
Nailed it. You got knowledge,
I know a little
girl.
bit. I like the Manson family. I'm fascinated with. I think it's really interesting.
Do you understand that it was you or Mike Figs, and we just hit a home run right now?
What I wouldn't give to have Figs like talk about his knowledge of the Manson family.
I love him to death.
I love Figs so much. I love Figs. But yeah, so I know that, and I know that we don't really know the motive still of like what caused the Tate murder. I think is sort of the interesting part in all of outside of it just being like a
you're killing it.
The fact that we don't
wonderful.
know that. Yeah, okay, cool. And that's why I'm fascinated with it, because it's like, was it just drug psychosis, or what was the underlying like real reason for that?
Well, they talk about that MK Ultra thing, which I don't mean to always harp on it on this show, but we've got like 5 or 6 episodes in the can, and I think I mention it in every single one. But it's one of those things where you're trying to study mind control. And I was talking to Blind Mike about this before the show. What they're fascinated about with Manson is that they don't know if he was a CIA asset, if you will, from MK Ultra that was then able to put into operation the things that he was taught and was putting into practice, if you will, or is he a guy with this weird mystical power? And they're like trying to figure out. So talk to me. Run me through this again, Charlie. You gave everybody how much acid, and then you told them how to live their lives, and they just listened?
Right.
Like, talk to me more about how you created a docile society full of chicks that you could just bang at any time, and then got them to commit.
Yeah.
Ghastly murder. Way.
Yeah.
It was not the one you said about the grocery store. That's the most gruesome one, and it gets less covered because that old Patrice O'Neill bit is correct. If there's a pretty white lady involved in the story, she's going to get all the headlines. And let's be clear. I'll ask Harrington if he can pull up a photo of Sharon Tate here in a second. I'm going to say smoke show.
Yeah, gorgeous. Timelessly gorgeous.
The fact that Margot Robbie plays her, I think, is fitting because she's also, I would rank her. There it is.
Breathtaking.
She's got it going on.
Yeah.
And because she got, which is, by the way, she was Roman Polanski's wife and was carrying his baby. Mm-hmm. So that whole Rosemary's Baby thing, the fact that came out before this is even creepier.
Yeah.
But she's not there for the Sharon Tate, our girl Leslie, who, by the way, Leslie, strong 8, I would say maybe 9, right? Next to Sharon Tate.
I'd say she's a 9. She's beautiful.
Yeah. If she walks into a room with Sharon Tate, then you're sitting there like, all right, I could probably talk to Leslie. But, like, you know what I mean?
But it's the difference between 9 and 10. It's like, nobody's going to be mad at either one.
It's catastrophic. It's catastrophic. That's what I always say. My girl's a 10, and then I find out that she has kids, and then I was like, ooh, wheelhouse.
Yeah,
okay, now we're talking.
There you go.
So Manson has this LSD devouring hippie. Did a fantastic job on that, by the way. You know. He's seeking to start, in terms of motive, you were saying, he was seeking to start a race. And, not the kind with, Kurt Metzger and Sherrod Small, but inside podcast joke, I suppose. But this is possibly the worst way to deal with the shame of not getting a record deal, because they said Manson was this close to getting like a record deal. He was hanging out with like one of the members of the Beach Boys, and he had a couple of meetings, and they played a couple of his tracks for people, and he was so close to getting a record deal, and then he didn't get it. And then that turns into him deciding that instead, this is my new avenue. We're going to take LSD.
I hate when fucking artists get rejected and then they decide to commit mass murder.
It's
happened at least twice, which is two more times than it should have.
What's your other go-to example?
Hitler?
You think so?
I think that's pretty well documented, yeah.
Well, no, he definitely was
a painter. He was a failed artist.
Do you think if you went back in time, because that's what they always say, if it went back in time, I would baby Hitler. That's what people are always saying, which is weird because it's usually a right-winger, and all of a sudden they're very in favor of and then the other one.
Which is, I guess, two things cancel each other out.
But do you think if you went back in time and you just bought like one of Hitler's like landscape paintings? Because we looked at it on High Society Radio, we brought up like his paintings, and
they're not bad.
No,
they're not bad.
He's doing it would be lovely at like an Olive Garden, or perhaps some sort of a local deli.
Yeah,
they want to hang up a photo. If you went to a German restaurant, and they're just like, oh, these are the hills where we're from.
Yeah,
you would just be like, oh, cool, I like this. But you think if you bought one painting, you're stopping World War II?
No, I think that if he got fame from his art and he was able to be fully invested in the art world, I don't think he would have gotten involved in politics.
I don't know. Maybe it was just like a passion project. I don't know.
I think that's how that works. I think that, if you have something else distracting you, imagine if Kanye West didn't succeed in music and was just on this kick the whole time.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he would be a black Israelite.
Yeah.
I think that's...
Yeah. He would be leading a...
Sure, he was the
but
guy
he's successful, so...
He was cleaning the sidewalk in front of where I parked my car as I walked in here before. So.
Yeah, there you
go. Worth noting, by the way, like I said, our girl Leslie is not believed to have been on the scene for the Tate murder happened, and then the next night is the LaBianca murder, the one you were referring to before. Leslie, the former the night before, and another guy named, I had Clem Grogan on here, but I think Carly told me I got the name wrong on that. And of course, by the way, Charlie himself, they go to the house of Rosemary and Leno LaBianca. To be named Leno, by the way, back then had to be tough.
Yeah.
Right? Like you think he probably dodged a bullet because I don't think Jay took over The Tonight Show until the 80s, right?
Yeah, he still had some runway.
I was going to say, it's not quite finding out that your name is, this would be curious. What do you think are the worst names to give like a baby girl now because I've always heard people say Caitlin is a dead name for girls.
Karen is not
Karen's
great.
over.
Yeah.
Karen's
My
toast.
best friend is named Karen, but you can't name a baby Karen.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true too. I did meet a white guy named Toby the other day, which I thought was interesting.
That is interesting.
So, yep, he's...
Becky? Can't do Becky.
Think Becky's done?
Becky's done.
Right on that one. This is what I think about too, because now if I talk about having a kid with my girl, she'll bounce a name off of me, and then I have to search it and make sure that... What about Riley Reed? Would that be a great name for... Yeah, I think Riley's a good name. It's very Irish. Now, this crime, by the way, the LaBiancas, this is where they get screwed over, because Sharon Tate grabs all the headlines on that one. Everybody knows that. The LaBiancas, as you were saying, get even more brutally here. No Hollywood A-listers involved. It gets less attention. They're brutal fashion. They're held at gun and then tied up with pillowcases over their head. So it's... The husband and wife, they both know they're in trouble. It's a home invasion. The murder, by the way, a carving fork, and a steak knife. And they know that because it was found planted in Leno LaBianca's throat. That's how they know. That, yeah, it kind of rules it out from any sort of possibility.
You kind of know what did it then.
He used, there was a couple things that he wrote on the wall, and I thought it was worth mentioning here. One of them was rise, which is creepy, if you used hashtag rise. Do we have a photo of that one, too? I think they have what they wrote on the walls over there. Yeah, pigs is another one. Written in blood, by the way, too,
Their
folks.
blood, yeah.
That's the victims that are there. Hey, look, Abe Lincoln made an appearance. That's good.
Hey.
See? He's in the...
I know they put pig or piggy on the door at the Tate murders.
There was a couple.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm not defending the idea that they wrote Helter Skelter, because I think, by the way, Helter Skelter, that's naturally creepy. Could you imagine if they had picked the wrong Beatles song, though?
Sergeant Pepper.
Yep, that's right. The Obla Di Bla Da comes to mind.
Yep.
Now, Leslie is directly involved in the LaBianca murders, of course. She holds down... Tell me when you're creeped out by this one. Leslie holds down Rosemary LaBianca as her husband is... She's doing like... she's forcing her to kind of watch it almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is terrible. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and say it on this show. I'm brave enough to not condone here on American Loser, folks. All right? I want you to stand with me and subscribe to the Gas Digital Network for more empowering messages like this.
I think there's nuance. Sometimes mine.
Never mind. I retract my statement. Her argument was flawless.
You can clip that.
Now, Rosemary LaBianca is watching as her husband is being murdered through a pillowcase still. She's then given the knife. They give the knife to Leslie, by the way. And Tex Watson had supposedly already, and we're going to use the term, okay? They're going to say she's dead, but they're not done yet. That's where it gets creepy.
Cool.
So they wind up stabbing her dead body. And I don't know how they prove this, but she was stabbed 14 more times after she was dead.
I'll tell you how they prove it. Because of the way that the wound I'm not going to be able to say it.
You were so close to nailing this awesome point.
Exsanguinates? I don't know how to pronounce that word. But the way that the wound, like the blood kind of starts to come out and congeal in that wound is different post-mortem than it is prior to you dying.
Strong save, by the way. I like that. That's
exsanguinate. I think that's it.
Exsanguinate. We'll go with it, folks. We'll go with it. Hashtag exsanguinate. That's actually cool because that's important, by the way, too, because Leslie has asserted that being constantly on LSD had affected her ability to see or experience reality. And Manson had them convinced that after the murders, this is literally what they were told. This is what they were sold. This was their bill of goods. I don't know what you were told when you were going to come on the show. I'm happy you're here. I can't make you any promises towards anything crazy on this one. I wouldn't do that to you. Apparently, Charles Manson told these girls, as soon as you're done murdering them, the race war is going to start, and you're going to sprout fairy wings and fly away. And we're all going to go to heaven together.
Sick.
Not a bad deal.
Right on.
Not a bad deal. That's Manson, by the way, is not... He doesn't get arrested. This tripped me out because you would think like the next day they would round you up. Manson's free and walking around for almost 2 more months until they arrest him in late October of 1968. Obviously, the crime shocked the nation, and it forces America to look at the hippie movement a little differently. So it's not like, they're just, they're kids having fun or whatever. Now they're like, are they all murdering cults that are waiting to be activated? Mm-hmm. I don't know. And, of course, obviously, A-lister who's married to a Hollywood A-lister who's the surviving Roman Polanski. Very problematic fella, too, folks. Don't Google him too much if you want to enjoy his movies. Leslie gets brought up on charges. She's not named in the Tate murder. Part of the reason why she eventually got out of jail. She's obviously facing heavy-duty penalties for her role in the LaBianca murder. In some of the eeriest stuff you can ever see on film. And I'll see if we can find a way to pull this in. Leslie, Susan Atkins, that was the other chick, and Patricia Krenwinkel are all seen laughing and giggling. You ever see that footage?
I haven't.
They're just, it looks like 3 girls that are just like, the cute boy just walked by us in high school. And it's actually them laughing as they're being escorted down the hallway by cops. So that was that great picture right there. They're just having a great old time. Again, chick in the middle looks like my buddy John at work.
Yeah, the bird one.
She's got it going on, though. She's
hot.
Yeah, this looks like the Pink Ladies from Greece, but if they're just people instead.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a badass move here on her part. Like in court, they're obviously making a mockery of the trial. They show little remorse. They refuse to implicate Manson, who's also been arrested. His mugshot, too, by the way, they made him way too sexy in that. This is like speaking as a guy. They made, like, there's a couple of shots of Manson where you're like, why is his hair perfect in this shot?
I don't know. I've only ever seen images of Manson where he looked terrifying.
I mean, it's there, too. It's there. But there is this one where it's like he's got a hair coif going on kind of a thing. So
okay.
But he's got some stuff figured out. And his control over these girls is crazy because he's actually like manipulating them from the core. They wind up carving X's into their foreheads.
Yes.
So that one's pretty well documented there too. But apparently this was Leslie's response when they were asking her, like, did the LSD and Charlie Manson radicalize you? Is that what made you and turned you from, like a pretty girl from Altadena, California into a killer? She goes, no, watching TV in the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
That was her response. That was her big mic drop moment. There's the X's on the forehead.
Yep.
Oh, you know what kills me too, by the way? I just looked into Leslie's eyes. Now I get it. I understand.
Yeah. Oh, I got it the whole time.
She's got something going on.
Yeah.
Now, eventually they do wind up, when they shave their heads, which, by the way, it takes a certain kind of a chick to pull off a shaved head.
I would say that, yeah.
Right. She winds up shaving her own head. All three girls do. And it's as they're being sentenced to death. There they are with, little bit. She's still pretty.
She's still hot.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go hot. She's got
She's got hot features.
She looks like she looks like Annie Lennox, and she should be swinging Sweet Dreams kind of a thing, a Eurythmics
That's
vibe.
fair. Yeah.
And then I love that guard behind them, or the corrections officer, just sitting like, none of your crazy ass white girl shit. All right, I'm done with this. You worship the devil.
Yeah.
Guys got to get religion. But Leslie confesses to murders. There's the true shaved head on that one.
Yeah.
It's a rough look. Now
I feel bad for the with the ears.
Oh yeah, she looks like
that's crazy. She looks like she's from Malcolm in the Middle. That's nuts.
You're not the boss of me now.
Oh my
Charlie
God.
Is. Yep, and the chick on the way on the right, you could convince me that was Edward Furlong in American History X. I would go with that.
Either one of those two, those are dudes, and then she's still like, that's the hottest patient in the cancer ward for sure.
100%. Miss Sloan Kettering, I believe they call her. The shaved head incident comes when they're sentenced to death in 1970. Leslie confesses to murder she did not take part in, which make people feel like it's just her showing loyalty to Charlie in order to exonerate him. Charlie is kept in custody until he dies of natural causes, which, by the way, was very sad when he died. I was a little bit sad because it was my family's first Thanksgiving without him.
I didn't even know he was sick.
Well, this is interesting because how does Leslie avoid... And by the way, when she gets sentenced to death, the youngest woman in California history, I did not think that I'd be able to tie Gavin Newsom to the Manson murders. But here we are.
Okay.
Here we are. And we're landing this plane, I promise. So there's a retrial in 1977. There's the overturning of the death penalty in a legal case in the California Supreme Court. Her lawyer dies during all of this, too. So that actually grants her a second retrial. There's a full renunciation of Charles Manson. She rehabs the herself. They put her and a couple of other Manson chicks into like deep therapy. And that kind of helps them rehab their thing. There's also massive atonement. And then also, for some reason, she becomes friends with John Waters. Do you know who John Waters is?
I do know who John Waters is, yeah.
She became very good friends, the two of them. And there's like photos of them together and stuff like that. So John Waters was trying to help her get out of jail early and stuff, too.
Interesting. Okay.
She marries a fellow inmate. So if you were, like, just to look at her on paper, you're like, all right, Leslie's a pretty girl, right? And you can marry a pretty girl. I'm thinking that's a pretty good deal, right? And then you're telling me that you're an inmate, and she's also an inmate, and you're like, oh, this is like as good as it's going to get, I think, in jail, is to marry a pretty girl. They still get divorced.
Is she married another lady in jail?
No, she married a male prisoner who they probably never actually met in person.
Ah, that means she was a handful.
If two inmates can't make it work, right?
In her letters, she was giving him. That's crazy.
Well, what hope do any of us have if two inmates and a former Manson girl can't make it work? But
I don't know. Mental stability. I think maybe that would be the thing. Maybe if you have that, you can make something work.
It's there. It's I think getting off the acid probably helped her a little bit too.
Maybe.
You know,
maybe
and then the deep therapy. But imagine that you're like, listen, I've learned how to deal with my time with my ex Charlie, and I'm a better person now, and I regret 14 times after it was already dead. But listen, this just isn't working out for us. It's more of a you thing, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure how to spin this one exactly.
Yeah, I hate the way that you sign your name. It's really pissing me off. It's just you gotta do something different.
You have bad handwriting, fella.
Yeah.
Now, this one, again, we tie right in here. Despite multiple denials for her parole by Gavin Newsom. Yes, we just tied Gavin Newsom to the Manson murders. I didn't think I could do it either. Leslie was finally released from prison in 2023 after serving 52 years of her life sentence. Sharon Tate's sister, Deborah, who, by the way, is pretty cool here. I get a kick out of her. She has appeared at every parole hearing for all Manson family members in hopes that no family member serving time ever get parole. So she was very, very, very against this. I first found out that Sharon Tate even had a sister when we were checking this one out. Interestingly enough, she didn't like people exposing the legacy of the whole Manson thing. She didn't like the celebrity cause that was coming on with that.
Yeah.
Are you a Nine Inch Nails fan?
I am, yeah.
I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails fan. And Trent Reznor actually did the album The Downward Spiral in the house where Sharon Tate was murdered. He built a studio. He built Gas Digital, right, where there was a murder that took place. And by the way, we can't prove there weren't murders here either. Okay, let's be clear, Harrington. There's no way to prove.
I assume that since Gas Digital has been here, there's been at least one or two hookers. Mysterious circumstances here.
Sometimes it has to happen, all right? You know what I mean?
It's par for the
why
course.
You always go for a that doesn't speak English. That's always the rule.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's the official slogan of the Navy, by the way.
110%. Shout out Davey Bohannon. Reznor describes, by the way, when he was staying in the house, as his first night was terrifying because he's completely well aware of the history and the fact that people were in his living room. But he did rent that house and build a studio. Puts out probably what I would say is Nine Inch Nails' best album.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair thing to say. Deborah Tate winds up confronting Trent Reznor and asks him point blank if he was exploiting her sister's death. Reznor seems to have finally understood the whole personal ramifications, and he himself actually openly denounces Charles Manson. Pretty heroic. Pretty heroic, if you ask me.
Wow,
Josie.
yeah, that guy really is just such a big man. Saves the day. Learns empathy. That's what big feat for him.
It's kind of what we do on the show here. We try to grow. To grow. But
it took her sister confronting him in the face for him to pause and be like, there might be something about this.
Yeah. Hey, are you exploiting my sister's death? No. What do you mean? I just built a studio where she got doing songs about my rage.
Yeah.
By the way, guess who else did guest tracks on the when they were recording in that studio?
Who?
Not Charles, but Marilyn Manson.
That's funny. I'm seeing him in concert on Friday.
Are you really? I saw him
maybe not
twice.
Depending upon when this is out, but
that's yeah. If you're at a Marilyn Manson concert in the greater East Coast area and you see Josie, just tell her she was killer on the show because she has been.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm excited for that. And that holds. I think it is such a douchey thing when we throw some kind of celebrity fanfare at murders. Like whether it's Marilyn Manson's whole stage name. I love Marilyn Manson. I'm very excited to see him live. That is so douchey. The poeticness of I wanted to take the most beautiful woman and the most heinous man and put their names together and I want to go explore my art and make music where these murders took place. It's like, shut the fuck up. Just write your tracks.
Well, it's funny that you say that too, because a joke in my act that my girlfriend's only rule was she goes, please don't say my kids' names. You can talk about my kids on stage, but don't say their names. So I said, all right, so I'll just call them Casey and Anthony or something.
That's funny. That's funny.
Well, it turns out that Reznor, by the way, is the final resident of the house. So that exploitation of the death thing that you referred to as douchey, which I would agree with 110%. And Marilyn Manson is douchey, but he's also, I kind of love how much of a douche he is, if that makes sense. So him and Reznor are doing tracks in this house, and then they put out The Downward Spiral, my favorite Nine Inch Nails album. And then the house gets demolished after that. It's been rebuilt right now on the property because it's just too good of a location to pass up. Sure, a couple people got murdered here. Whatever, we'll rebuild it, man.
But we took the house down. Now it's a new house.
Those walls can't talk. We're going to build new walls.
I mean, we're for sure sitting on Indian land right now, so there's proof you can rebuild anything. It's fine. Have you ever been to the Twin Tower Museum? It's a good time.
There's as a guy born on 9/11, I think everybody has to go there at least once, but it's just I shouldn't have had my birthday party there. I'll be clear.
I hope they brought you balloons.
Oh man. we're gonna get us out of here. I know you got to catch a train back to Philly. I want to say thank you so much for doing the show.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
No, it's we're still exploring the new way because the way the show used to work it's me and my dad, and my dad's my co-host, and we did 200 episodes together. Every now and then I had to do something solo here, and then now we're in the city right now, and the first person that Harrington mentioned, he told me, I was like, dude, who would be a great guest for this? And he says to me, he goes, Shannon.
Yeah.
And then Shannon gave me the classic.
Shannon would be really good.
She was mentioned to be a guest, and Shannon's a good friend of mine, but she did give me the classic hot girl line of when they're not interested.
What'd she say?
My cat's sick.
Oh, well, okay, no, with Shannon, that's real. Her cats get sick. Her cats get sick.
That one here. By the way, I just want to give a shout out real quick if we can. I want to say thank you so much to Mike Harrington, the great people over at Gas Digital. We're beyond excited to be here. We look forward to growing the show. Hit me up in the comment sections. Mike, what do you got for me, good sir?
Well, I was going to say, those 200 episodes that you talked about recording with your dad, they now live almost exclusively on the Gas Digital Network. Latest 20 episodes available everywhere.
Folks. If you're digging the show, please check us out there. We came into our own on that one, and we figured it all out. We have some absolute banger episodes that people are going nuts about. Everything that we used to put out on Patreon only, which we had a good Patreon little army. They were very loyal. But that is all also now behind over at Gas Digital. And we're going to put out new episodes every Tuesday. So when this one comes out, do me a favor and please check out Josie over on her social media. Honest to God, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful.
I like this. I'll come back anytime.
It was a good time, man. If you guys want to follow me, it's at KP Burke Sucks over on Instagram. Do me a favor, check it out. We put out Reels. That's actually what made the show pop, was we started putting these episodes into 90-second condensed versions. So we're going to have a new one out for this one. It's always done in promo. And join us every Tuesday, Tuesday here on the Gas Digital Network. Thank you guys so much. Hit me up at kpburkecomedy.com. You'll see more tour dates on the road, everything like that. And folks, that was Leslie Van Houten, the hottest Manson girl, American Loser.